Welcome back to another programming video. Today's topic is still data structures. This video is about dictionaries. Python is our programming language of choice for this video. Without wasting further time, let's go straight to it. Now, dictionaries store data in key value pairs. What do I mean by that? So, I have a simple example here of a person. And what you will notice, let me just make this a little bit simple. Yep, let's keep it simple. Yeah. So I have a person here whose name is Zoe and age is 30. Now, what is a key? The key is name and the value is Zoe. It's a string, as you notice. And then we have a comma separator there, and then we have another value that is a key that is age, and the value is 30. So between the key value, the colon is what separates the two. And between two items, I would say, within the dictionary, we use a comma to set the separation. In this case, we have two items, and that's how we should be looking at it. Now, how you go about, and before we move forward, something to keep in mind that even though you are able to, assuming you have something like this, name, and you assign a value of maybe Joe, Python doesn't highlight this as being an issue. Now, the expected result here is that if I'm accessing the dictionary and passing in the key name, I'm supposed to get Zoe, if this value doesn't exist, of course. Now, because we have two similar keys within the same dictionary, only the last one will be recorded or printed out. So if I run that, I'm getting Joy, but what happened to Zoe is because the value was overwritten in the output. So to avoid such issues, either maybe you pass in something else within, I would say what I mean is within, you can probably create a list and then pass multiple value inside, where you're gonna have Zoe and you're gonna have Joe or something like that, or Joey, or find another way to maybe rename this to say maybe surname or something like that, depending on your use case. That's just something to keep in mind when you're dealing with dictionary and key. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. So if you print that, this time around we're gonna get Zoe. Now, how you go about changing a value, that's also pretty straightforward. All you do is use the name of the other variable, open close square bracket, pass in the key that exists within your dictionary, as you can see, and just assign the value. Python handle the whole changing behind the scene, and if you print that again, you'll get a new value of 31. So that's how it goes when it comes to dictionary at a basic level. Now, I have another example here where I am introducing a for loop, and the whole idea here is to count the frequency of a particular fruit within this string. So this is a string. Something unique about it is that I've added a space between each of them intentionally, because I would like Python to be able to create a list and use the space between them to split them. Now we use the word split, which is pretty straightforward, splitting based on the empty space between each fruit or words. So if you don't specify which value or what to use to split them, it could be a comma, it could be a dash, it could be a plus sign, whatever it is. Python uses a space by default. So now that sentence is a string, and then I use a string and I put a dot split, and the output of that is this list. As you can see, we have apple, comma, banana, comma, apple, comma, orange, comma, banana, comma, apple. So that is what is being stored into my words variable and used further down for additional processing. Now, I've also gone ahead and created a frequency of empty dictionary, curly braces, open and close with no space inside. Now, the for loop is basically what we've learned in a previous video, where we creating a variable, and that could be anything. It could be W. It doesn't have to be words. It's just that in this case, I just choose something that is a bit meaningful so that we can stick with the logic, and the goal is to learn, not to stumble. So for every word, every time you go through that list, remember we created a list here. So as you go through that list and grab each word in the process, the value of the word, I want you to populate the frequency, which is how you go about adding value to a dictionary. So basically you use the empty dictionary that we have here, pass the value, and then pass the key. This becomes a key, and then use go into that frequency dictionary, try and get the apple within that, and if you don't find anything, return the value of 0, and then to that value add 1. That's basically what we're doing. So for the first time you're running, this is going to be the output. So basically frequency would take the value of apple, like we've done here, the first key, and then we'll assign the value of 1, because frequency at the very start there is no value inside, and therefore it returns 0, and to 0 we add the value of 1. That's how you see. Now the second time it runs, it grabs banana, and you can see we're creating a key banana, which we're doing here, and then we're looking into the existing frequency, which is going to be this one, and trying to get the value or the key banana, which does not exist, because we're still looking at that. So because it doesn't exist, we return the value of 0 and we add 1 to it, and then we produce this in the second pass. So you have an apple value of 1, banana value of 1. Now on the third pass, now remember this is what is currently in memory, we are looking at the apple. Now we selected the value of apple, which is currently this one, and then we get the apple, and see, okay, there is a existing one in frequency dictionary, and it has a value of 1. So we return the value of 1, and to the value of 1 we add 1, and that's how we're able to end up in this block over here, where apple is value of 2, banana is the value of 1. Now we move to orange. Now we do the same thing again. Orange take the value of 1. We move to banana. We do the same thing again. Banana takes the value of 2. And then we move to apple. We do the same thing again, and we can see that apple takes the value of 3. Now if we run that code, and that's probably exactly what we're getting. So apple is 3, banana is 2, and that happened pretty quick and pretty fast. So I just thought I should lay out the steps that take place within this simple logic that we're able to achieve within 4 lines of code in Python. And this can be used in cases like long text, or even language NLP and those kind of things, where there's some processing that need to happen on the word to word, or maybe analyzing some sentences and things like those, where you want to grab some sentiment or that kind of stuff. So there is use case for this, and but now the focus is mainly on dictionary and how practical it can be and useful it can be when the right circumstances presents itself. So I hope you learned something new in this, and until next time, keep well. Bye bye.